didn't, you were nothing. Death, nothing. Even back then, it was where the water wells were, where there was rest areas, so to speak, along the way, right, between cities and countries. Wherever there was a water well, that's where there was a rest area along the way. Everything revolved around water wells. And someone who could dig one and have that in his name, well, it's like having a gas station today. Right? How many of us would like that? Imam Ali, they say he had oil wells, He had water wells. He had wells that were his. So what's this difference here? What makes the difference? Imam Ali is saying the sneeze of a goat. Give us this Islamic worldview that you're talking about. Well, when Imam Ali says that, what does he mean? We can find that in the du'as that we see by these imams. The du'a goes, Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbara hammina. Oh Allah, don't make this dunya the priority of my life. My priority. So that means I can use this dunya so long as it's not my priority. And when we say it's not my priority, what does that mean? That means if there's a conflict between this and something else, I go with my priority. Umar ibn Sa'd, what did he do? Before Ashura, they say he sat and reflected a long time, contemplated whether he should or should not go through with Ashura, go through with what he was going to do in Karbala. They promised him the government of Ray. Ray back then was like, I don't know, a good city of today, Detroit. It's interesting. A few days before flying, I was walking out, going to the car, and someone's radio was on in Iran, in Qom. And I was walking towards my car, and the lady, the announcer, the newscaster or whatever, she was like, yes. And it's interesting because in Iran, you hardly talk about, particular cities in America on the news. But she's like, yes, it has been announced that Detroit is like the poorest city in all of America right now, or something like that. So I just smiled and went on. I was like, imagine that. I'm flying there. Right? If I was going to go somewhere else, probably that one would be. That omen, So, what was I talking about? Recite salawat. Prioritizing. Umar ibn Sa'd couldn't because the dunya was akbaru hammihi. The dunya was the more important thing in his life, the priority. And that's what Islamic worldview wants to hit and take down, right there, boom. That this doesn't become the priority in a way that you compromise what's more important, for what's less important. That's what Islam wants. That's why the Islamic worldview comes and tells you, listen, the dunya, there's nothing bad about it. It's not bad in essence, the way some Christian mystical movements look at it, where they say that material in and of itself is bad, is evil. Material is bad, no matter what. Even if you use it for the best things, material is bad. That's not what Islam dictates. Islam says, no. Material isn't bad necessarily, but it's not your priority. Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbara hammina. Don't make Allah this my priority so that I compromise what's more important. Okay? That's why they say, they came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, they said, you're wearing all these good clothes, these nice clothes. What gives? You guys are always talking about zuhd. You're always talking about Imam Ali, how he would wear those clothes that were coarse and they were harsh. And then now you're wearing these nice high-class clothes, Imam Sadiq. Imam Sadiq said, what Imam Ali did was right, and what I am doing is right. Every time and place has its own circumstances. What's important, brothers and sisters, is that I don't get attached to this. Because at the end of the day, there is death. If you can take that car with you down to the grave, if you can take that mansion down with you, if you can take mulk of Ray, that city,
that Umar ibn Sa'd couldn't pass up on. If you can take that with you to the grave, then that's worthy of being priority. If you can't take it with you, it's not priority. If you have this worldview that, listen, it's going to end someday, I'll make the most of it. Mazra'atul akhirah. The dunya, you plant seeds in it, it bears fruit in akhirah, you pick those fruit. That's how you look at it. It's a ground you till and you use. Right? That's it. This is the worldview. So if this is the essence of something, is it going to have priority over what's going to be eternal? Of course not. This is the Islamic worldview. Recite salawat. And as I said, when you start understanding this a little bit, and of course knowing this isn't enough, we have to start practicing a little bit more. We'll talk about that. But once you get to know this, things become so much easier for you to understand and accept. For example, you see people coming out nowadays, they're saying, why can't women lead Salat al-Jama'ah? He's like, okay, wait, don't shout, first of all. Second of all, let's see what your worldview is. Let's see how you look at things. Let's see how you look at this life, how you look at this dunya, the akhirah, and then we'll see. You ask him, listen, yes, in a world where this life starts at birth, ends at death, and this is all we have, yes. The question is, how come Allah doesn't allow women to lead jama'ah, for example, Salat al-Jama'ah? Okay? That's what kuffar come up to us and say. Unfortunately, some enlightened Muslims nowadays, and up-to-date Muslims, what do they say? They say, yes, you're right. Most sisters should be able to lead salat. And some of them actually have done that. I don't know if you've heard, like they have Eid namaz with sisters leading. Taqabbal Allah. Okay? Right? But the question is, what's wrong if a woman can't ever lead Salat al-Jama'ah? What's wrong with that? Well, that means that she can never stand in that spot. Okay, what's coming with that in standing at that spot? Well, I mean, that's the front, that's the back, and everything. I say, yes. But do you believe in an akhirah or not? Yes, I do, for example. Okay, if you believe in an akhirah, and Allah says, I don't want her standing here, for example. No offense, sisters, don't get upset, I'm just saying. This example came to my mind, so I don't want a sister standing here. Her taqwa is to stand like back there. And then I'm going to reward her the same way I'm going to reward the person that leads Salat al-Jama'ah of the men. The same way I reward him for standing in the front, I'm going to reward her for standing in the back. This only happens when you believe that there is an akhirah. But if you have that Western / non-Islamic / materialistic worldview that says life is from birth to death, brother, I would just get off the minbar right now and go party. Because if that's all it's going to be, then Bismillah. But that's not the case. See how it sets things straight and adjusts stuff for us? It becomes so much easier for us. Oh, okay, Allah doesn't want her to stand in the front. But she'll never be able to stand in the front. Well, it's okay. In the akhirah, she'll stand in the front for years and years if she likes. Okay? This eternal life is waiting for her. And for him. Okay? That's what it does for us. It makes it easier for us to accept these things. So many things are going to be easy for us to accept. Why do women in your religion have to cover up, huh? They never get the wind to blow through their hair. They can never go swimming. They can never shake hands with guys. They can this, that, whatever. Yes. How am I going to debate with a non-Muslim who doesn't have the same worldview as me? Yes, it makes sense. He's right. He's right on his terms, of course. Because he believes there is no akhirah. Right? He doesn't believe there's no akhirah. That's why I always tell some brothers and sisters, they come up to me like, my non-Muslim friends said this, they said that. I said, listen, don't waste your time, because in this particular issue, since they don't have the same base, okay, intellectually as you, they don't have the same prerequisites as you have, they don't have that backbone that you have, you can't debate with them. You can't tell them, yeah, we cover up because there's akhirah. He says that person doesn't believe in akhirah. Okay? So this is very important to have this worldview, or else none of this stuff has meaning. I'm sorry. I am sorry. lots of our ahkam don't make sense when you look at it at first sight. Why do we have to do tawaf 7 times? Can I do it 8 times? Or 4 times? How come I can't do Salat al-Maghrib 8 rakat? It has to be 3 only. Well, all of this, the akhirah is there for this purpose, or else it doesn't make sense. But the problem is, we have this worldview. We believe in this stuff, that's the thing. But we still have problems. That's the problem. So till now, we're speaking in a way, and I don't know what time it is and how much time I have. We were speaking in a way that if someone has this worldview, it's enough. Right? But no. If that was the case, we wouldn't have any problems. But we still have problems. What's the reason for that? Okay? The reason is, sometimes you have to strengthen what you believe in through practice, through motivation from other things, through fear. And that's where this whole topic comes in. Death, brothers and sisters, sets everything straight. No takalluf there. Everything straight. Since there's a death, since I talk about it a little bit more, since I get to know it a little bit more, that worldview finds more color, the contrast. I can see it better. But a person who's all caught up in this everyday life doesn't recite Qur'an. That's another one. Reciting Qur'an also helps this worldview because it keeps repeating it in our minds. It keeps reminding us that there is something going on the other side. Right? Qur'an is one of the reasons of Qur'an is this, that they say it's mustahab to keep reciting because it keeps reminding us. Remembering death is one of them. When you remember death, it's some serious stuff. It sets things straight for us, adjusts everything for us. Lets us know that yes, there is priorities in life. There is some things that are more important. Yes, it's going to really happen. Why is it that I think I'm the only one who's not going to die? Seriously, I don't know about you guys. I'm not dying. All you guys are going to die. I'm not going to die. Right? We all think like that. Ever since we're kids and we grow up, we think it's never for us. While the Prophet ﷺ says, "Kafa bil mawti wa'idhan." I saw this hadith when I was going into the cemetery in Iran. For the first time when I had gone to Iran, I was going to the cemetery for my grandfather. He was buried there. It caught my eye. The Prophet says, "Kafa bil mawti wa'adhan." He says, death is enough of a preacher for you. You don't need anyone else to preach you. Death is enough of a preacher. Just think about it. Atheist, Buddhist, Christian, Jew, Muslim, everybody, no matter how much there's difference of opinion, there's one thing everyone agrees on. We all gonna die. We are all gonna die. That sets everything straight. Right? There's no escape from that. It's so cool. I love it. I mean, you see these celebrities trying so hard. Facelift, nose lift, tighten the skin, look 10 years younger. They're trying to evade this death, right? And you're just sitting back here you just smile at them. You're just like, look at that. Because they got the worst worldview you can find. Right? You got bad worldviews, you got the worst. This is the worst. And it happens for those people who are the most richest. They want to stick to it, not let go. Right? They think by stretching places on the face, things are going to get better. Bro, you're going to die. Okay? You're going to die. No, there's no way around it. But it feels so good, brothers and sisters. Seriously, when you look at and you read these articles sometimes, the news and stuff, and they talk about celebrities did this, celebrities did that, they did this. This one divorced that one, married that one, and then divorced again, is trying so hard to find that, the guy on the white horse. The ultimate love that when I'm with him or her, I don't care about the world. it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They think that that ultimate bliss happens here. Islamic worldview says no matter how much you try, it's not going to happen here. You see how things are set straight just with a little death? That's why we're going to be talking about this. And when we say death, let's change the world with the word. Let's not say death. Let's say we want to talk about that part of our life. Okay? This is also Islamic worldview, that death isn't a cutoff. Right? Death is continuation. You're just like shedding skin. That's all it is. But we're made for eternity, brothers and sisters. We are made for eternity. Ayatollah Uzma Hassan Zada Amuli, one of the greats that's still alive today, he says, no matter how much you sit down and think, and throughout the day, brothers and sisters, like tomorrow, day after tomorrow, whenever you feel like it, think about it a little bit. Just sit down and think a little bit. He says, no matter how much you think about it, you know that you're here. You're here to stay, not in this world, but you feel like it's not like I'm going to be destroyed. A lot of people who fear death, even the non-Muslims, if you ask them, they'll tell you that I don't think it's destruction after this. I'm going to become nothing. They'll tell you that I don't know what's going to happen after that. That's what they're afraid of. If you think about it, brothers and sisters, we are made for eternity. They say, Allama Tabatabai, rahmatullah alayhi, recite salawat for his soul. They say in his dars, every now and then, like he was teaching, all of a sudden he would stop. He would stop, and like his students would just look at him, and he would be like, maybe he would close his eyes, and then he would look at them and say, brothers, we have eternity before us. We have eternity before us. Eternity is no joke. 1 million times 1 to the power of 1 million with a bar on top, those of you who do math, right, is still 0 compared to what? Compared to infinity. No matter how many zeros are in front of it, this is mathematical, it's like 0 compared to infinity. We just can't fathom it. We can't digest it that well. But that's what it is on paper. In theory, infinity compared to that is 0. They say Prophet Nuh, alayhi salam, the angel of death came to him. Now Prophet Nuh, the Quran says how long was he inviting his people? The Quran says his tabligh was 950 years. Imagine, I sit up here for 950 years and talk to you. 950 years his tabligh, the Quran says. It doesn't talk about his lifespan. It says he was doing tabligh for 950 years. They say the angel of death came down to him and said, O Prophet of Allah, the time has come. The time has come. Prophet Nuh said, so we're not looking at 950 years, brothers and sisters, we're looking at more. The tabligh was 950 years. He was more than 950 years old. Angel of death comes to him and says, O Prophet of Allah, the time has come. He says, really? That soon? That soon? So what do we have to say? That we age about 60, 70, 80 years old, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, let's just say 100 years, inshallah. 100 years compared to 1,000 years of Prophet Nuh. Prophet Nuh, when the angel of death comes down, he says, already? So what are we compared? And then the angel of death, it's interesting, says to him, he says, so what do you say about the people who come towards the end of time, where they live like 70, 80 years? Prophet Nuh says, if I was to live 70, 80 years only, I would pass all of it in one sajda. In one prostration, my life would be summed up into one prostration. So like we think we're all big and stuff, we're all good. We're somebodies. Prophet Nuh is looking at our lifespan like this. Does that not ring a bell for us? Does that not raise flags for us? That wake up, hello, wake up call, it's that close. We're like on the verge of it. You don't know. Sometimes it's even sooner. So does it not make sense to address this part of our life? Why is it that 10, 15 years down the road, we're thinking about it. We're looking 10, 15 years from now, planning from now. Yes, my son has to study so he gets into a good school, to get a good job, to establish a family, and all that. For 10, 15 years from now, we're planning so that in the future, that person doesn't have problems. Well, this is also the future. It's part of our life. Just shed some skin, move on. Okay? There, he has to go to college, make some good money, get a good job, make some good money, so that from maybe 25-ish till like 60, 70, 80, he has a good job, and then he retires, and all the good stuff. Okay? So you're planning for that 40, 50, 60 years. You're putting yourself through some trouble for those years. Okay, well, we have infinity coming up now. Should we not plan for it? Should we not prepare for it? The same reason. If you have aql, sit down and think. The same reason that dictates I should plan for 15 years from now, dictates that I should plan for 50, 60, 70, 100 years from now. And onwards. Makes sense. That's what's so cool about Islam. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about before death, when it starts coming. During death, what happens? How does it happen? How does it work? Angel of death, what does he look like? He actually looks kind of good. Talk about it. He does. He's an angel. After death, a little bit after. We're not talking about akhirah here, brothers and sisters. That's like a whole different story. These are just stages and stuff, practical guidelines to, ease this process. You can make it easier. You can look forward to it. It's all good if you just make some adjustments. That's what's good about Islam. Islam doesn't say go to the mountains and live in the mountains. Islam says live your life, just make some adjustments, that's all. Right? Have enough willpower to make just a few adjustments, please. I created you. Right? Recite salawat. So what time do I have? No one's giving me any signals. I'm going to stay here for like 950 years, man. Huh? Okay, thank you. 950 years. Do not underestimate Maulanas, man. For example, like when I say like ease things, and what things make it harder? They say the Prophet, they came to him and they told him, "Oh Prophet, there's somebody who's passing away. It's a youth, and he's having trouble. Please come and like help him out." The Prophet comes and he finds this young person laying down in his deathbed, and he says to him, "Say la ilaha illallah." He does talqeen. This is called talqeen. When you tell somebody to say something, you do talqeen. And this is a term used in Islamic fiqh for when someone is passing away, you tell them to say la ilaha illallah, say Muhammad Rasulullah, so that that person doesn't pass away without iman. Because in those final moments, shaitan comes to you. Shaitan says that this is my only chance to catch another one, to destroy another one. He tries his best, and he goes through those vulnerable points that you have prepared, you have offered him. It's interesting. Sometimes it might even be a tasbih. You guys call it tasbih, right? Sometimes it's even that. Imam Khomeini, rahmatullah alayhi, he said, I'm paraphrasing here, that some people, their whole dunya is like a tasbih or something. He doesn't have too much of dunya, but just this itself will cause like everything to go. Khasirat dunya wal akhirah. This guy loses out on the dunya and akhirah because of this mistake. Because he's in love with this tasbih. Right? The Prophet comes to this kid and he sees that yes, he can't even respond to the talqeen of the Prophet, subhanAllah. This person has done something in his lifetime that the talqeen of the Prophet is effectless. It has no effect. What has he done? He looks around, where's the mom? You guys are young. Okay, you got to be careful. What does the Quran say? Quran says, don't be mushrikeen. Number one. Right after that, what does it say? It says, be good to your parents. Okay? Other parts of the Quran, they say, lower your wing for them. Okay, as in like be very humble and careful how you're with them. Why do we think religiosity means doing lots of tasbih, subhanallah? All of that goes down the drain when you say uff to your parents. And uff doesn't mean, some people say, oh, I don't say uff, I like say use other words. No, uff symbolizes the smallest disgust that you can express when they say something to you. I don't care what your parents have done to you. Imam Sajjad in Sahifa Sajjadiyah, he says, oh Allah, help me, like, I don't know, hold the respect of my parents or something like that. Even if they have oppressed me. وَإِنْ ظَلَمَنِي. Dhulm is something that everyone understands is bad. It's the worst thing. Okay? The zalimin are mal'oon, they're cursed. But here he says, oh Allah, help me so that I'm careful with my parents, even if they've done dhulm to me, I'm careful. Anyway, the prophet sees that this kid, the mother finds her, says, what's wrong? She says, I'm upset with him. Talking about how we can make it easier for ourselves when that time comes. I'm upset with him. The prophet says, now's not the time. Now's not the time. This is a hard time and a very pivotal time and moment for him. She says, okay, I am satisfied with him because of you, O Prophet. And the Prophet says to this youth, the youth he was saying before his mother was satisfied with him, the youth said, I'm seeing these monsters coming towards me. After the mom is happy with him, he says, they're going away. Those monsters are going away. And the Prophet says, recite this dua. He says it. He says, what happened? He said, they're going away further. He says, keep reciting, keep reciting. Eventually, it's a good, happy ending, alhamdulillah. But the point I'm trying to make is these types of things that are important, that when you go on the other side, you say, I wish I knew. I wish I knew. We're going to talk about these, inshallah, a little bit in following nights. Okay? Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Usually on the first night, we remember Muslim ibn Aqil back home. And I don't want to miss out on this. I just want to make sure that we remember him as well. You brothers and sisters know the story. Imam Hussein sent Muslim ibn Aqil alone. Muslim ibn Aqil left his kids and children. He left them with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Muslim ibn Aqil is sent by Hussein alayhi salam to Kufa because the Kufans have said, oh Hussein, don't worry. If in Medina they have threatened your life, if the Khalifa of your time is saying you have to pledge allegiance, it's okay, don't worry. We're here for you. They sent him thousands of letters telling him to come. Don't worry, come to us. But these are people who, they had the worldview, as I said, but they hadn't strengthened it. The worldview does you nothing if it's weak. What happens is, it's okay, turn them all off. What happens is, they turn their back. Muslim ibn Aqil comes to Kufa. They receive him as if he's the Imam. You should have been there to see how they received Muslim ibn Aqil. But what happens is Ubaidullah comes in. I'm telling you a little bit of history here. Ubaidullah, la'natullah alayhi, was very cunning. And he knew every person what their weak point is. And he would go for that weak point. Ubaidullah comes into the city at night time, veiled. So no one notices him because they know what a mal'oon he is. Out of fear for his life, he comes in with 6 or 7, 8 people. He comes into Kufa. But look how this man is able to turn the tables in a way that Muslim ibn Aqil, who had thousands behind him, now has nobody. Alhamdulillah, at least this didn't happen to Imam Hussein. At least Imam Hussein didn't come and the people turned their backs in the city on him. But Muslim Aqil, he's the one who has to pay this price. They capture him eventually. He doesn't go down easy. He's a warrior. He is cornered. They deny him water. He's bloody. He's thirsty. He's hungry. He's leaving this world the way his master left this world. Good for you, Muslim, good for you. They tie his hands, they bring him to Ubaydullah. Ubaydullah speaks ill of him, Imam Hussein, everybody. Because when you're a coward, you use abusive language. Cowards use abusive language. Cowards disrespect. On Ashura, cowards run over the body of Imam Hussein with their horses. Cowards. Cowards have to make sure that Abbas doesn't have arms and then take care of business. Ashura is both a reflection of the highest qualities a person can have, and it's a reflection of the lowest, most animalistic qualities one can fall to, can sink to. They bring Musa Aqil, his hands are tied. Musa Aqil, he doesn't show like that he's upset. They say he was crying, and they ask him, why do you cry? We know he's out of fear because you're going to die. He says, no, I am upset because I've told my master that you are waiting for him. He doesn't know what's happening now and how you've turned your backs on him and on me. You think I'm crying for myself? I love my master. I love my imam. But there's two things here. Two tragedies here with Muslim. Let's make it three. Number one, they've tied his hands. Don't ever, brothers and sisters, tie the hands of a warrior. Fight him until you cut him to pieces like Hussein, but don't tie his hands. That's number one. Number two, if he has a master like Hussein, don't separate him from Hussein in those final moments. They, on Ashura, the companions would fall one by one after another. Imam Hussein knows if he doesn't get to that body before the enemy, they will sever the head right there. Imam Hussein rushes to them. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, alayka minni salam. He rushes to them, puts their head on their knee, fights off the enemy, puts his head on his knee. They open their eyes. The last thing they see is Aba Abdullah. But what about Muslim ibn Aqil? Muslim Aqil, they take him to the rooftop. All he sees is enemies around him. He sees the executor. He says, listen, I have one final will. What is your final will? Tell Hussein not to come to Kufa. I've told Hussein to come to Kufa. And the problem is, I know Hussein, when he left from Medina, he brought his women and children. I don't want the Kufans to have access to that. Let him know that this is not the place to be. They take him to the rooftop. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. But where's Aba Abdullah? Aba Abdullah is hundreds of kilometers away. Look at the ghurba, look at this gharib. He has to leave this world. They say the executor struck his neck, but it didn't work. They had to strike it several times. Muslim Aqil is finally beheaded. His head one side, the body is thrown off of the roof. This is sending a message to Hussein. Hussein, if you set foot in Kufa, this is what we will do to you. Hussein, even if you don't set foot in Kufa, if we get our hands on you, we will trample you with our horses. News reaches Imam Hussein on the way to Kufa. They say when he hears of Muslim, he goes and gets the children and orphans of Muslim ibn Aqil. He brings them close. He sits them down. He strokes their hair. He's their uncle. His sister was the wife of Muslim. He strokes their hair. Azizam, don't be upset. I'm your father now. I'm your father. The kid is smart. She says, has anything happened to my father Muslim? What can Hussein do except cry? Hussein, you're teaching a lesson to everybody. But people won't listen to you because on Ashura, after they had killed Imam Hussein, they rushed towards the tents of Hussein. The orphans are running left and right. No one is there to stroke their hair. Only Bibi Zainab is the one. Sajjad is ill. He can't do anything. Zainab is the only one to stroke their hair. Ya Aba Abdullah, are you teaching the people what to do after you with the kids of Muslim? ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها، يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج والعافية والنصر، واجعلنا من خير أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم احفظ وأيد علماءنا، اللهم احفظ وأيد قائدنا، اللهم سلم مسافرينا، اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا، وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين. صلوات.